Hello, crafty friends, and welcome to my channel, Create with Callia. I'm Callia. Today I'm going to be scrapbooking these Christmas-related pictures. This video is a collaboration with the Inspiration Collaboration Design team, where we're actually putting together a Days of December mini album. I was assigned days 13 through 18, so those are the layouts that I'll be working on. Make sure to stay tuned to the end so that you'll be able to access the playlist of all of the other design team members' videos. This first sheet of the Traditions of Christmas pattern paper is one of my favorite of the entire collection. We decided as a group to use the Traditions of Christmas pattern papers so that the album would look complete and cohesive if you choose to follow along with all of our videos to create your own album. When I'm working on a Days of December album, I love to include elements that are either gold or silver for some shine on my layouts, and that's part of the reason that I love this pack so much. Every one of the papers includes a pattern on one side that has gold accents. As I set them off to the side, you're able to see how much the light picks up the gold on each of these different patterns. I also love this collection because the reverse sides of all of these are in patterns that can be used for Christmas, but they'll also fit well for doing layouts that are non-Christmas themed. I also love that this collection includes an option to purchase a sticker sheet. When I'm working on a Days of December mini album, I want to make sure that I'm using materials that are going to help me put the album together quickly. So that's why I love that this collection includes the sticker sheet with the dates that you're typically going to be journaling about. For our layouts, we're also using the Variety Pack Photo Pocket pages and the basic black 6x8 album. This album is big enough that it should be able to fit the entire Days of December series of layouts and comes with a label holder on the spines to help make it easier to find on the shelf. The variety pack of photo pocket pages includes one 6x8, two 4x6 pages, three pages that include a 4x6 at the top and two 3x4s on the bottom, three pages that include two 3x4s on the top and one 4x6 on the bottom, and three pages that include four pockets for 3x4 photos. As you're working with the page protectors, in order to determine whether or not you have them oriented the correct way, you simply need to look at the spine and make sure that the Stampin' Up! Logo is visible and able to be read. Since I already have my pictures printed, I'm going to start deciding how I'm going to lay these out and in which size page protectors. There are a few different ways that you can assemble a Days of December album. You can either choose to take a picture per day to include in the album for every day that you want to document in the month of December. Or you can choose to tell a series of stories related to the things that you do during the month of December. For the first option, many people choose to take one picture per day to include in their album for every day that they're documenting in the month of December. Some people choose to document December 1st through the 25th on Christmas Day, and others choose to document December 1st through New Year's Eve on December 31st. I personally prefer to document 31 days of December. I also prefer to do a combination of the two different options for a Days of December album. So some days I will use pictures from the actual date that I'm documenting, and some days I'm simply telling a story about something that happens in December or a tradition that my family has during the month. One of the things that I like to consider when I'm putting together a mini album like this is the fact that our pattern paper is beautiful on both sides. So I often will choose a more subtle pattern for behind pictures and then use the opposite side of the paper as the pattern I want to highlight when you turn the page. Well, I like the plaid behind the picture that would be the opposite of this page. I don't like the poinsettia paper with this particular photo, so I changed it out for another pattern. This paper works much better with the photo above because it helps pick up the reds in the plates and also balances better with the blue plate at the front of the photo and the other white dishes that you see in the photo. When I turn this pattern to the B side, I also realized that I really like this diagonal stripe Secret C pattern, and it does help bring out my photo a little bit more by using it as the background for this photo. When I'm putting together a mini album like this, one of the things that I like to do if I'm putting together several pages at the same time is to get my photos matted and figure out the layout before I start working on the embellishments. I have my first two photos matted using the pattern paper that you see on the left. And then on the right-hand page that I've started, I've matted the two photos in old olive cardstock. Now I'm bringing in this beautiful poinsettia paper to see if that will work behind this picture of my family at a Christmas lights display that we like to try to attend every year. The plaid in old olive goes well with the previous page, so I do decide to use that poinsettia paper for the picture of the lights display. I have most of my photos matted, so at this point I decide that I want to start doing a little bit of embellishing to get an idea of where I want to go with the remaining pages. As I said, my assignment was to start with day 13, so I'm using my 13 sticker and the Making Memories banner from the sticker sheet as my embellishments on this page. I've also cut out two brackets from the branching out die set, and this area will be both my journaling spot and where I place my embellishments. One of my family's favorite things to do is to put together jigsaw puzzles, and so that picture is of our putting together a puzzle over Christmas break. All of the pictures that I'm using for this video are from Christmas of 2024 when we went home to northern Minnesota to my mom's house. That means that I'm currently focusing on telling stories rather than on events that happened on specific days. I've placed these three photos together because both of them are about food and tradition. Like many families, we have some specific food traditions that happen only in December. When my husband and I first started dating, one of the traditions that we started was to do a wine and cheese night. We would purchase a couple of bottles of wine, some fancy cheeses and breads, and then cut them all up and have that as a light meal during one of the days right before or around Christmas Eve. We later added in fruits, jams, and some steak tips done in the crock pot to help make it more of a meal, and started inviting the rest of my family and children to join us. It's now one of the meals that everyone looks forward to every year. I've now brought in the party banners dies and cut a banner out of old olive cardstock. I'm using the December sticker from the sticker sheet and the 14 sticker to embellish the banner. I've also cut out another bracket from the branching out die set in old olive, and I'll use the next smaller die to cut another bracket out of white willow cardstock for the journaling spot. I've also cut out the same sized banner in gold foil paper and am considering how to further embellish this banner. I tried using the next larger banner and some cherry cobbler cardstock, but realized I didn't like the way that that looked. I do like the way that this looks with the gold foil accent. I mentioned how I'm using the Traditions of Christmas paper throughout this entire mini album to help make the pages more cohesive. Another thing that I like to do is to repeat elements so that it feels like you're seeing some of the same things as you page through the entire album. I've used the branching out dies on most of the pages to create my journaling spots to help with more of that cohesion. You'll also see that I use gold accents on every one of the embellishment pages or in every embellishment cluster as another repeating element. I've now brought in the metallic textures rub-ons, and I'm going to be adding a few of the snowflake rub-ons to the bottom of this journaling spot. I absolutely love this product. These rub-ons are super sticky and you can just rub your finger over them and they will stick to your paper. You receive 4 sheets of gold designs and 4 sheets of silver designs in each package. And of the 4 pages that you receive of each gold and silver, 2 of the pages will match. I've now moved on to the embellishments for the light display pictures. The Oh What Fun poinsettia and 16 stickers are all off of the sticker sheet. Because this page had two 3x4 areas, I'm using one complete area as an embellishment area, and then I'll be putting the journaling spot in the second area. I've now brought in the Greetings for You Mix and Match Ephemera pack. I love these stickers. They're printed in gold foil on cardstock paper, and the adhesive is super sticky, so you can use them as a sticker without having to worry about them falling off your page. One of the best tips that I've picked up about using these stickers came from Melissa Miller at Mel's Card Corner. She pointed out that because these are printed on cardstock, you can actually ink the sentiment in whatever color you would like. So I'm going to be inking mine in Cherry Cobbler to help match my paper. I apply the ink with an ink blender, and then I use a piece of tissue to wipe the remaining ink off of the foil, and then I'm ready to attach this to my project. Since these are stickers, there is a backing on them that you need to carefully peel off in order to attach them to your project. Because the stickers are printed on a thick cardstock, you do have to be careful not to bend the sentiment that you're working with, otherwise a crease will show in the cardstock. A full list of the products that I've used to create these pages will be available in the description box below, so please make sure to check that out when you're done watching the video. Now that I have this sentiment area complete, I'm going to add it back into my page protector, and I really am loving the way that that looks. For the opposing page, I'm bringing back in the poinsettia paper. You can see that I cut a bracket out of gold foil, and then I also cut a second bracket from the second smaller die so that I'd be able to save that for another project or for later in this album. I then cut out the next smaller size in white willow to use this as another journaling and embellishment area. I've brought in the word joy from the Greetings for You Mix and Match Ephemera pack because I really like the sentiment paired with the picture above. The sticker that I'm using right now is off of the sticker sheet, and I'm trying to see if I can make that work as the background to this joy sticker. My thought is that I'll use this as both an embellishment and journaling area. I'm now bringing in the Home from the Holidays sticker from the sticker sheet and placing that over the top of the dotted sticker. You can still see the dots on either end of the sticker, but I love that sentiment for the picture above. As I said, we were in northern Minnesota and staying in my mom's home over Christmas last year. I came out to the living room at my mom's house one day to find my oldest child and her boyfriend, my middle child, and my niece all reading in the living room. It was so fun to see all of them just relaxing and reading at Grandma's house. As I'm working on the embellishment area, I try several different ways to get the word joy to fit into this area, and none of them really work for me. Finally, I find this wreath in the Metallic Textures Rub-On pack, and I decide to use that. I really love the way that the wreath turned out when I applied it directly to this pattern paper. I then bring in the joy sentiment again, and it still just is not working for me. But it gives me an idea. I go back and ink the word joy with Cherry Cobbler, just like I did for the previous sentiment. And voila, I hate it. So I go back to the drawing board again. I set the inked sentiment aside because I know that I will use it for another project, and instead I find the word joy in a circle in the Greetings for You Mix and Match Ephemera pack. I like this much better inside the wreath, but it does also feel like this area needs a little bit more. So I go back to the Metallic Textures Rub-Ons pack and cut off a piece of the dot strip. I cut off a second piece of the dot strip and apply the strips to the top and bottom of this embellishment area. And now I am loving the way that that looks. I'm going to apply my photo to the opposite side, and then I'm ready to work on embellishing my last page. The upper left is my photo, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The upper right was a piece of the pattern paper that I cut strategically so that the bouquet would be fairly centered on the page to be its own embellishment area. The Traditions of Christmas paper has a matching stamp and die set called Christmas Greenery. One of the dies in the Christmas Greenery die set will cut out the bouquet. However, at the time that I was filming this, I did not have that die set. So that's why I chose to just be strategic about the way in which I was cutting the paper. I've once again used the branching out die set to create the journaling spot, and the little branches by the number 18 are from that die set as well. I've used two more banners from the Party Banners die set and another of the rub-ons from the Metallic Textures rub-ons pack on the banner. As I mentioned, the upper left corner is the picture for this page. The picture is of wrapping paper that I purchased. Every year since my oldest was born, I have made sure that all of the gifts that come from Santa are wrapped in their own special wrapping paper. I keep that wrapping paper separate from the rest of the wrapping paper so that my children don't find it. When a roll runs out, I just purchase a new roll of whatever I can find, but I always try to make it something special. In 2024, that was the paper that I was using as the Santa paper, and so I want to talk about that story on this page. I found another sentiment sticker on the Greetings for You Mix and Match Ephemera pack that says Happy Christmas, and I love the way that this looks. One more thing I love about doing a mini album is that you can embellish each of the pages, and you definitely can go big on the embellishments, but you don't need to because you're working with a much smaller format. And here are pages 13 through 18 of this album complete. I love this gold paper, and I love that I was able to add gold accents to every one of the pages. I feel like it helps create cohesion even though I'm telling very different stories for each of these pages. And here's what it looks like with the pages actually in the album. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and also make sure you check out the playlist here so that you can find all of the other videos. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and craft on.